Martin Luther King Jr. Day with you again. I want to start by thanking our interim president, Coco Killingsworth, for her leadership and her vision for here at B.A.M. Recognize our borough president, Antonio Reynoso, for his leadership and his vision for this great work. And I want to recognize everyone here behind the scenes who puts this event together. I also want to recognize our keynote, Dr. Imani Perry, our Governor Hochul, who's on her way. Thank you, Majority Leader Schumer, for the incredible work he does in Washington and around our state every day. Tireless and relentless. I want to thank our Mayor Adams, who's also on his way, and the rest of the dedicated public servants who will be speaking today. So this is a day that we continue to lift up as one that reminds us who our greater angels are. Dr. King stood at a pulpit to the National Cathedral and said, "This is America's opportunity to help bridge the gulf between the haves and the have-nots. The question is whether America will do it." We have seen COVID widen the gulf between white communities and communities of color that have existed for far too long. We have seen COVID magnify the injustices and magnify the challenges that have existed for far too long. So we have to take this opportunity today and the weeks and months and the years ahead to address them head on. We have to be guided by the work of Dr. King, and especially the work of Scripture, like Matthew 25, which says, "Truly I tell you, whatever you did not do for the least of these, you did not do for me." Our work starts here. Our work starts with making sure that everyone has a say at the ballot box. We have to pass voting rights laws. We have to protect people's fundamental civil rights and civil liberties. And if that means getting rid of the filibuster, then we should be getting rid of the filibuster.
All right.
Our work starts with addressing the inequalities that our healthcare system has shown. We know that COVID has shown it has been harder for Black and brown communities to access care. It has left them more susceptible to COVID, and it has left them more susceptible to many diseases and underlying health conditions. One of those conditions is maternal mortality. We have seen in this city and this state that women, Black women in particular, are up to 3 times more likely to die in childbirth or within a year of giving birth because of the color of their skin. This has to end, and I am working in Washington to change laws to support our doctors, our hospitals, and our mothers so they may survive childbirth. It also starts with looking at our public schools. We have seen during this epidemic schools close and leave our children working from home, with parents rushing and working so hard to have their children learn remotely. This has not been easy for anyone. It hasn't been easy for our schools, our teachers, our parents, or our children. And so we have to look at education as a pillar of our democracy and a cornerstone of our economy. So looking forward, I believe that we should look at our schools as critical infrastructure. They should be designated so as critical infrastructure. And with that, resources should flow. Schools should be among the institutions first in line for PPE, for masks, so every child receives a mask when they walk in the door, to make sure every child has access to the vaccines that they need on a timely basis, so teachers have access to vaccines, PPE, testing, so they know that when they go to teach, that they are teaching in a safe place. That is how we should be imagining our schools. The safest place in a community for our kids to be. And I believe the federal government has a role to play by sending resources. If we could send the resources to guarantee every kid can get access to a vaccine, to a test, to a mask when they need it. If we can send the resources to make sure our schools can improve their HVAC systems, so they can have clean air, so they can constantly have the safest school environment, that is what the federal government should do. And that's why schools should be designated critical infrastructure. And it also starts by rethinking the way government should look at having access to jobs. People in America have a right to have a job. We should always be working to guarantee no lack of jobs for any person who wants to be working. We want to have zero unemployment. And what that means is you start with our education system and you make sure all children have access to job training throughout their careers. One way we can do this is offering free college for children and kids and young adults, particularly for those who choose to serve. If we can say for every kid who will do public service, you can have tuition-free school,